Hey everybody, Jane here, and today we are doing a mid-month wrap-up. It is June 2019, and I have already read 5 books by the middle of the month and DNF'd a book. So I thought if I just continue on by the end of the month, my wrap-up is going to be super long. So I thought we would meet in the middle and kind of go over the books I have read, and I will probably read at least another 5 by the end of the month. Hopefully more. We'll see what happens. So the first book we're going to talk about is my DNF, and it is Final Exam. This is a cozy mystery. It is about a girl who is a reporter, and she is investigating this car that is being pulled out of a underground water area. I don't remember exactly what they called it, but it's like a canal, but it's really got some deep areas. There's a car there, the police got a tip, and they're pulling it out, and it is apparently quite old. I got about halfway through this book, and it wasn't doing it for me. I didn't feel connected to the characters. I didn't really care about the mystery. It just wasn't working. I had kind of expected a little bit different than what I went into. It's a Witch City mystery, and I was under the impression that the cat, it says she has the help of Orion, her psychic feline sidekick. And we were halfway through the book, and let me tell you, the cat had not done anything to indicate to me that it was psychic. That's why I picked it up, psychic kitty, that's cool. And I didn't get that, I didn't feel that. There was some cool stuff. This is also the third in the series, so maybe if I'd started at the beginning, I'd have felt differently. But yeah, it just didn't feel like continuing it. Too many other books to read. So, DNF for that one. Alright, the next book I'm going to talk about is The Road Out, A Teacher's Odyssey in Poor America by Deborah Hicks. So this is a nonfiction about a teacher in Cincinnati. She'd grown up poor in Appalachia, got out, and then after she got her teaching degree, went and taught in Cincinnati. One of the things she did was over a 4-year period, she had these extra classes for some of her students, some of her grade school students. There were 7 of them. And she would do extra writing activities, extra reading activities to kind of help them out. These were kids who were growing up very poor. A lot of them didn't have parents in the home. Just a real rough situation for them. And so she gave them extra schooling for 4 years, and then she checked back, and that was during early grade school, when they were 9 or 10, that age. Then she checked back in with them when they were about 16, and then in the epilogue she kind of gives us the results from when they were in their 20s. It wasn't a bad book. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was interesting to look at the poverty and the difficulty that these kids were facing. I think for me, the problem I had with this book is it just didn't seem like it went anywhere. It talked a lot about the issues these kids were going through, but it didn't really give solutions. It just seemed like I was waiting for something, and it never happened. The children didn't ultimately do any better, I don't think, than they would have without these classes that she'd given. And I'm not sure if she was trying to advocate these classes, but by the end of everything, only half the kids had graduated from high school. Nobody was really doing super well and out of the poverty that they'd grown up in. So it was interesting to look at, yes, these kids are poor, and yes, you did this program for one set of students, but that was kind of it. So I just didn't really feel like there was much point to this book. Whatever the point was, I guess I kind of missed it. It's great that she did that. I'm sure those kids appreciated that, but long term, I'm not sure it really had much effect on them, and I'm not sure it did the good that she'd hoped to do. It didn't really offer any answers or solutions to the problem of educating children that are living in the ghetto and growing up in extreme poverty. I just, other than maybe showing that these kids can be smart and can be interested in reading, and that if we just could do more programs and stuff for them, maybe we could help them. I'm guessing that's what she was going for. I feel like she missed the mark. So 3 out of 5, just okay. I'm not going to be doing a full review on this one. Normally, if you've been following my channel, I do reviews on a lot of the books I read. This month, there's 2 that I'm not doing reviews on, full-length reviews, because I just didn't have that much to say, and this is one of them. The other that I'm also not doing a full-length review on is Girl Interrupted. This is a memoir about Susan Kaysen and the time that she spent in a psychiatric unit in the 60s. I love the movie, read the book. The book was a 3 out of 5. It was just okay. I thought the movie was a lot better. The only thing that is kind of extra neat about the book is that you get things like bits of her chart. So bits of her charting from like when she was admitted. But this book, I think because it's a memoir, it doesn't have much in the way of plot. The characters are not really well fleshed out. The only thing that this maybe did better than the movie was Suzanne talking about her thoughts on her disorder, and like there's a scene where we kind of get a glimpse into what that disorder is like. She had some dental work done, and she got really upset because she wasn't sure how much time had passed while she was getting the dental work done, and got really upset about that. But yeah, this book, I really wanted to love it because like I do love the movie, but it just didn't do the things that the movie does for me. It was interesting, it was okay. Obviously it's a bestseller and a lot of people love it. I was expecting more from it because of how much I love the movie, and this really didn't deliver much. If I'd have read it outside of having ever seen the movie, I'd probably consider it interesting. Like a lot of the characters we see in the movie show up, including Lisa, who's always escaping, Polly, who's got the burns and, gets upset at one point because of the burns on her face. It had cool stuff in it, but I just thought that the movie did it so much better, and I was kind of disappointed by the book. So, 3 out of 5. All right, so the next 3 I'm going to talk about, I am going to be doing full reviews on later. I'm a little behind on posting the actual book reviews, but I will be doing reviews on my blog, video reviews, and posting on Goodreads about these in detail. So the next one was an audiobook I listened to, and that is Where Are the Children by Mary Higgins Clark. So the premise of this is that there's a lady named Nancy, and she had 2 little kids, and they were killed. She was taken to trial, blamed for the murder. She was found guilty, but ultimately she was let go on a technicality. She moves on, she gets remarried, has 2 more kids, and these kids have disappeared, and everybody is assuming that she has killed them. It is a domestic thriller, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. A couple things that I will say up front is, number one, it was written in the 70s, so there were a lot of things that I didn't feel like aged very well. And I also didn't like the narrator for the audiobook. I may have enjoyed a lot of this better had it not been for the audiobook, but I didn't like the way the narrator chose to portray 2 of the characters in particular. It didn't work for me, and it really got under my skin listening to it. The other things that really didn't work, okay, let me back up and say, I did think, I loved the plot. I thought that was an interesting idea, and there were some good moments and characters in the story. But a lot of this just didn't really work for me. Too much was kind of happenstance that just happened to happen. Quite a bit of things weren't really you didn't get the information ahead of time for certain things, so that when like Nancy realizes stuff, you're like, well, maybe I'd have realized that too if you'd have told me crap. I felt like it was kind of deceptive. I thought the policemen acted like idiots. This book, like it probably, I'd read it because I'd heard a lot of people talk about it, and this is probably very classic thriller in the 70s when it was written. It was probably really well done then. I just didn't think it aged particularly well. So 3 out of 5, didn't love it. The next book is my biggest disappointment for the month, and I have a totally unpopular opinion about it. Just saying, everybody seems to love this. I was not impressed. That is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is a hate to love romance. It's a rom-com kind of thing about this girl named Olive and this boy named Ethan. So Olive's sister Amy has just gotten married to Ethan's brother Dane. And at the wedding, there is a buffet and everybody gets food poisoning except for Olive and Ethan. Amy has won a vacation to Maui, and so she tells Olive to go in her place with Ethan so that it's not wasted because they can't change the date. So Ethan and Olive go, they have a good time, they fall in love, etc. It's really hard to talk about what I didn't like in this book without spoilers, but I'm going to try. But I will say, like, there are some things this book does well. Dialogue is snappy and funny. There are some really cute scenes. One in particular, like some awkwardness as they have to do a couple's massage. And obviously, you know, they're not there yet in their relationship, so that's kind of cool. And just, there was good stuff in here, and I get why people liked it, but I didn't get why they loved it. Yeah, so I did think that there were good moments, good dialogue, diversity. I did love the family dynamics. Olive and Amy come from a really big family, and you have cousins and aunts and everybody involved in the story, and that was pretty neat. I liked those family dynamics. So they were really entertaining. I also loved that the sisters spend a lot of this book text messaging back and forth, and that was done like this, and it was really cool to read their text messages. So there were things that I did enjoy. But I really thought this was going to be a 5 out of 5, especially the way everybody was talking about it. And for me, it just wasn't. There was too much that didn't work. I'm going to go into a lot more detail in my review, but some of the things that didn't work, there was a side plot that I didn't think needed to be there and that wasn't very believable. This is all based on a miscommunication between Olive and Ethan of why they hate each other. And I wasn't really on board with what that miscommunication was, especially like, it didn't work for me. Also, Amy and her husband Dane, they didn't get very well developed early on in the book. I didn't feel like, for the roles that they play later in the book. And so that kind of let me down. I wasn't loving that. And I also didn't love the epilogue of this book. There's an epilogue, and it just kind of made me mad. So while there was some great things in this book, there was a lot that just didn't work for me and that I really was frustrated with. So this was a 3 out of 5 for me, and I was so disappointed because I really, really wanted it to be a 5. But it was a 3 out of 5. And I think I'm like the only person I've heard so far with that opinion, but I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to love it. Then my final read for the month is Girl Made of Stars. This follows a girl named Mara, and it is told in her point of view. And she has a twin brother named Owen. And Owen's girlfriend accuses him of rape. So Mara and her family are dealing with this accusation, and he did it. So like the changes that she feels for her sibling, after he did something like that. There is also like a subplot with her relationship with her girlfriend. So there is like a subplot with her. She's just broken up with her girlfriend who is non-binary, and she's also kind of interested in this boy. There's just a lot happening in the book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. There were some, I think the topic was important, and there was a lot of things this book did well, but I thought it was trying to cover too much for the length of it, because it's not a very, the text is fairly big, it's very dialogue heavy, it's a very quick read, and there's just so much going on. So I did think it was an important topic. I did like a lot of the characters. I thought it was interesting that Mara and Owen are twins. Also, I loved the star theme and how that was incorporated in the book. I really struggled with, I felt like too much was going on, too many issues were being addressed. And at the end of the day, it felt like this was an issue book more than a character book, and I really wanted a character book. I really wanted to see how Mara was responding to everything, maybe a little more than she did. And I felt like her romantic relationships kind of overshadowed the story that I was hoping for when I picked up this book, which is of her and her brother. But it was a good read. I enjoyed it. So far, the best read of the month. But I didn't love it. I can't say like it's amazing. I'm not going to gush about it. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. So yeah, those were the books that I've read so far in June. I did not do a TBR this month, so I'm not entirely sure what else I'm going to be reading throughout the month. I'm in the middle of an Agatha Christie. We'll see if I finish it. And after that, I'm just kind of mood reading. They're with their dad this summer, so I didn't want to, for June, set a strict schedule because I didn't know how I would feel and how much reading I felt like I could do. But my goal is always 8 books a month, and I'm already 5 in, so I feel like we're doing good this month so far. All right, if you've read any of those books, please comment below. Let me know what you thought. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have a favorite book that you've read so far this month, let me know what it is in the comments below. All right, guys, this is Jane. See you next time. Bye.